may be. So, you know, your alternator, you know, your tensioners, your belt for, you know, if they're cracking, they're brittle, they're fraying, whatever, can affect your whole electrical system.
Right.
And that, again, that's what your dealer or whoever's
And I
doing
think,
your inspection to make sure they check. And you want to know that now before you have your
and
issues
again, it's something
down
that,
the road.
that if I were just to open the hood of my car, there might be an issue that I'm not trained to see that, oh boy, there's something here that this doesn't look, they know what it's supposed to look like at a facility where somebody is trained to do that.
Well, you know, there's a couple of things. That's very true as far as, you know, having a trained eye looking at things where you might think, well, that looks okay.
Yeah.
Where somebody else says, that's a disaster.
Right.
The other thing is, with a lot of today's models, you know, in vehicles, and maybe your car does it, I don't know. But you look in, and there's covers all over.
Oh, right, covered.
So you can't even
see it.
You can't even see it.
You don't even know where to look.
Right.
Exactly.
You don't have it. And then it's like, well, okay, I want to check my belt, but how do I get this cover off?
Right. Right.
That's a whole nother issue.
Right.
So when you're having a, you know, oil changing or winter inspection done and what have you, make sure that these situations are looked at. But that's a, you know, excellent point.
And I'm sure that many dealers, I mean, they have winter special packages that you can purchase with the whole, it is all inclusive of all these different areas.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of places, like, you know, for instance, here at the dealership, this is part of a regular inspection we do as part of our oil change anyhow.
Right.
A lot of, you know, a lot of these things.
Right.
But then with the, you know, you might really want to look at, again, your owner's manual and discuss with your service advisor or whatever the flushes, you know, with your brakes or with your coolant and so on and so forth, if you need it or don't need it or how long it's been, so that you do have the proper fluids, you know, and
topped off and everything's in good order.
And really make sure that your hoses and all that have been checked and looked at, most definitely.
Speaking of topping off fluids, we'll jump to the windshield and the eternal blue jugs that we carry around in the winter for the salt and that builds up on the windshield. And
you know, you make a very good point. When we carry around in the winter, how many of you out there haven't done that since last winter, and you've just been putting water in? You know, now's the time you better make sure that
you got
if in fact that's the case, the water's out.
Right.
You know, because all of a sudden it freezes. It's snowing out there right now, you know, and it freezes. It well, not only, obviously, you're not going to get any fluid through.
Right.
Which is an absolute disaster for your windshields.
It's awful.
But then you can easily crack your holding tank. All of a sudden now you're in purchasing a holding tank, and it just can, one thing and but it's just, again, it's a simple maintenance item.
Right.
That so many of us just
overlook.
Well,
and there's nothing worse than driving in the winter and you're on the highway and the salt, and all of a sudden you're driving along and the pump runs dry and the windshield wipers are going and you've got this foggy white mist and you feel like you are driving in with your eyes closed. It's awful.
And you're going into the sun.
Right.
You know, it's just
it's the lesson that I've had to learn. I keep the little blue jug in the car.
There you go. It's a very good lesson, and to make sure you stay up on it. And you know, it's funny. You don't realize how much you use of that stuff when you start getting into those days and those misty days, and it's drying and this and that. I mean, you may go through a jug in a week.
Right.
You know, where you haven't thought about it and you haven't used a jug for 6 months.
Right.
And and now it's you're using it right up. So and you might even want to make sure, like right now, prices are pretty good. I've seen it where you know, years ago, you know you're going to use it, so if you can buy it at the right price, you might as well get it.
Exactly.
I saw it years ago where there was actually a shortage of windshield washer fluid.
Wow.
And all of a sudden, what you might buy for 99 cents now, it was like $2 or $3.
Right.
Just because there wasn't.
Right.
There wasn't any. I
Right.
mean, it was incredible. So,
Yeah, I noticed it was a couple weekends ago that winter must be on its way when I noticed the first thing when I walked into the hardware type store that the pallets of blue jugs.
convenience stores, the gas
Exactly.
stations, and all that, absolutely. But
Yeah,
that's
it's everywhere.
yeah, you want
So-
to make sure that you got the proper fluid in there, that it's coming out properly. Because another thing is, if with just water or whatever, not only is it frozen in your tank, but even if it's kind of in between, or even if you're, some people I've seen where they've mixed. Okay, I'm gonna save on a little bit.
Right.
I'm gonna mix water and I'm gonna mix this,
Right.
windshield
Right.
washer fluid and save a little money.
Right.
Well, then all of a sudden,
Right.
it kind of slushes through, or
Yeah.
it's just not coming through, and next thing you know, it freezes up on the nozzles.
And you're done.
Because it's just right in that temperature range and what have you, and it's still not coming out. Or we've all seen it; it's just
Right.
trickling out
Right.
because it just can't pump it.
Well, and they can get, even snow and ice can clog them, and sometimes you have to chip that off. And
Chip it out, or heat them up, or take a little pin or something down there and try to get
Right.
try to get it cleaned out, or what have you. But we just take it for granted until that time when you talked
Right.
about you going on a road, and all of a sudden
it's like,
I can't
yeah.
see anything.
What about the winter blades? Good investment? Not a good investment?
Oh yes, I mean definitely good investment. You take a winter blade and it has like it's kind of wrapped in rubber.
Okay.
The blade is itself, and it keeps from the ice and the snow
Okay.
build up as much as possible, so that when your wiper's wiping, if it's not wiping a full wipe and there's leaving streaks
Oh,
and
yeah.
things like that.
And the
it's
streaks
time,
that are always left are always the one right in front of your
right
eyes.
in front of your eyes. Absolutely, absolutely, right in front of your eyes.
At least in my
And,
car.
And
Yeah,
you're dodging and everything
exactly.
like that. But it's never anywhere else. Never anywhere else.
Well,
Right.
good.
Yep.
Well, I think finally a topic, and we kind of saved a big one for the end, probably one of the most important things that a driver should think about in the winter are the tires.
Oh,
And I know we talked a little bit about it even prior to the show,
Yeah.
that it's a big, tires are a big thing, and there's a lot to know about tires and a lot of brands, and
I'm amazed about when you talk about tires. We as consumers take tires for granted.
yeah, absolutely.
We see thousands of tires every day when we're driving, and it's a tire.
It's a tire.
Hey, the tire manufacturers, they have a mold, slap it in there, it
Right,
pops out a tire, throw it on your car, and you go.
right.
No, what's a big deal? It's amazing what a big deal is. What tires are all about. Here back, it's been a couple years ago. 2020 ran a show, a story on tires and their born on date.
Okay.
We talked earlier about Budweiser having their born on date. Well, tires have their born on date.
Which I didn't know.
Well,
So that's
I
interesting
didn't,
to know.
to be honest with you, I didn't know it either until I saw this. I saw this show, and but if they could put a slide up, here's a slide of a tire, and